will say about how to write a C++ program using the developer C++. So we have to download the developer C++, install it. So to write a program, you have to go to this file section, new, source file, click on the source file. So first thing we need to write is using namespace std. Then we have to include the iostream packages. So these two things must be included before writing the class program in developer C++ using namespace std. So std, the standard header files for the input and output, that is we use cout and cin. For that purpose you have to import this packages std. So class is, we can define a class by using the class keyword. Let's say we want to define a class student. So class consists of the variable declarations and the method declarations. So we will declare some properties which are with respect to the student, like a student will have the id, a student will have the name. So I have declared these two variables. So by default they are considered as the private variable. In the next video we will see about the access specifier. Just now we have declared this variables id and name. So by default the access specifier is private. So we will declare here the member functions which are public. So we have to write here public colon, then we will declare one member function here, void get. So the return type of this function is void, means the function will not return anything. So inside the get we can initialize those variables with the values for the id and name. So the private variable can be accessed only by the public member functions of the same class. So we are initializing id and name inside these member functions. Otherwise these variables are not accessible directly. Okay, so after the declaration of this get function, we will declare one more function, show. So inside the show method we will show the values of id and name. So our class definition is completed. We have declared the variables id and name. By default they are private. We are declaring the member functions get and show, which are public. So we have to specify here public colon sign. Member functions, the return type for get is void, so it is not returning anything. We are initializing the variables id and name inside this get functions, and one more function show, which is used to show the values of the id and name. Now the definition of the class is completed. So in C++, whenever the class is completed, we have to put the semicolon after the definition of the class. Now we will go to the main function. Inside the main function we will create the object of the student class. So the main function is not returning anything, therefore we are writing here return 0. The name of the class is student. So we will create the student object. So S1 is one object, one instance of the class is created. Using this instance we can call the member functions. So we are calling the get method. Inside the get method we have initialized the variables. Now we will call the show methods. So this is how we can go for writing a simple class program. So by default these variables are private, they cannot be accessed directly. Suppose if we are trying to access this variable s1.id, we will get the error, we will see later on. Now we will compile this program and we will save this program and run this program. So you can see here ID is 1, name is Vikas. So this is how we can go for writing a simple class program in developer C++. Now suppose if you are trying to access this variable directly, s1.id, we will get the error. Okay, so if we try to run this program, so you can see here the error is id in student id is private. Okay, by default the access specifier for the id is private, so the private variables cannot be accessed. If you are declaring it as public, we can access it. Okay, so we have seen that if this variable are private, we cannot access it, but if these variables we make it as public, we can access this variable. Now you can see that it will not give the error. Okay, now you can see here id is 1, name is Vikas, so there is no error. If the variable is public, we can access it directly. If you are not specifying anything, the variables are private, the private variables cannot be accessed, they can be accessed only by the public member functions. So this is all about how to declare a class in developer C++, how to access the variables, how to declare the member functions.